What's happening, y'all? Welcome inside the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Danny and Bush coming at you with episode 60 of Dynasty Decisions on this channel. This series, we take all of your Dynasty questions. Who should I trade? Who should I sell? Who should I buy? Am I contending? Am I rebuilding? What should I do with my rookie picks? All that kind of stuff will be covered in this video today. Submission-wise, for those of you guys that are in the Dynasty Decisions queue, we're working through about early July type of teams right now. So if you were, submitted a team before that and we haven't had you on, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. And we'll make sure that you're on the next episode. But if you're in the queue right now, July 2nd, July 5th, July 8th or so is what we're at on these teams in this video.
Yep, no, for sure. And as always, we are nearing redraft season. We are going to be getting into a lot more redraft-centric content. But of course, we're going to try to keep these dynasty decisions going for you throughout the rest of the year. So with that being said, before we get into the first team, as always, we're getting the intro. All right, so start off with the first team of the video, and that's going to be from Angantyr, a patron. So he has a different league, so he submitted this a different team to us to review an auction draft, a month and a half ago or so. So this is a different league, and he actually submitted earlier, but I guess, we must have missed it. So I told him get it on first episode next video. But you guys see the team on the screen. Quarterbacks, Lamar, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston there. Running back, Stevenson, Sanders, Herbert, etc. Wide receivers with T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Hollywood Brown. Tight ends with TJ Hawkins and Albert O, along with 3 first-round picks in 2023. He also has a couple trades listed here. So overall, when you're looking at this team, what are your main thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 12-team Superflex tight end premium, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned the scoring format. So he's got, pretty strong quarterback core with Lamar and Carr and Winston. I think that's pretty solid there. Pretty light at running back, as we usually see most of these teams built out. For those of you guys following how we like to build out teams. Strong at wide receiver, a lot of youth there. Not a lot of, super high-end talent other than T. Higgins, really. But a lot of those guys have some ceiling potential to become those type of dudes. Pittman and Jeudy, for sure, definitely have that kind of ceiling potential. And then in tight end premium, having TJ Hawkins and Albert O, Evan Ingram is pretty solid. So I think you have a good, foundation for this team. Still have some work to do, but obviously those 3 1s in 2023 is most likely how you're going to fill out your running back core for this team.
Yeah, for sure. He also mentions here that all the 3 guys in his division basically have a redraft centric mindset. So that means at least one top 24 or top 4 pick in 2023 should be available, but should have at least 2. So, I mean, if you have 2 top 4 overall picks in your draft next year, I mean, adding that to a team that's already really, really well set up, you did a great job. He also has the trades listed here, and I can see, the redraft centric mind with some of these deals because, you're able to get Pittman and a 2023 first in exchange for Cooper Kupp. Phenomenal move. Michael Pittman, again, look, obviously Cooper Kupp is most likely going to outscore Michael Pittman this year, but Michael Pittman is a fringe top 12 level wide receiver in redraft for us in terms of our consensus. He is young. He's 24, 25 years old, and you're getting a pick in terms of liquidity added on top. Realistically, I mean, you can make the argument that Pittman and a 2 and a 3 is more like Kupp value, and you're getting a 1.
If I had Kupp, I think I would want more than Pittman in a 2. If somebody offered me Pittman in a 2, I'd probably want a little bit more value than that. But if somebody offered me Pittman a 2 and then like another piece, like another wide receiver or something like that, that'd probably be enough for me to move off of him. Yeah. So for a 24-and-a-half-year-old wide receiver that has legitimate top 5 upside this year, he has a chance to really, really skyrocket his dynasty value inside the top 6 or something overall dynasty wide receivers if he has a great year. So I like that move there. He also traded away what looks like the 4.8 and the 9.5 and a 2023 second in exchange for the 6.5, the 7.8, and a 2023 first. So you move down from the 4.8, you pick up 2 mid-round picks. The 6th and 7th round are usually good honeypots for like breakout caliber wide receivers and, rookie wide receivers and stuff like that. So I'm assuming you picked guys like, Hollywood Brown or Jerry Jeudy or some of the guys that you have on your roster with those picks. And then you go upgrade from a 2023 second to a 2023 first. I love that move.
Yeah. And if we're being realistic, assuming that's a random 2023 first, that's almost comparable value. Probably is at least comparable value to the 4.8. So even if you cancel that out right there, you basically moved the 9.05 and a 2023 second for a 6 and a 7. And at that point, give me the side that you got, give me the liquidity you got. You got two honeypot type of range startup picks, and obviously the liquid gold that is a 2023 first. So excellent move there. And then the final move he basically has listed here, a guy really wanted to move up for Rashad Bateman. They was willing to give a 2024 second to move up from the 704 to the 703, and he ended up just netting Jerry Jeudy. And listen, I'd like and I prefer Bateman straight up to Jeudy, but if I can get a second to move from Bateman to Jeudy, I'll take that every day.
Yeah, and hell, you might not have even been targeting Bateman with that pick. You might have just been like, "Oh, I'm going to pick Jeudy anyway," and the guy was like, "I really, really want Bateman. I'll give you a 2024 second." And maybe you were just like, "All right, I'll take the guy I was going to take anyway and get a 2024 second." I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to take Bateman if you don't come up and get him, but I've definitely pulled some shit like that in some fantasy drafts before. He also had a few more startup pick swaps, but they were more late round ones, so not a ton important here. So basically, he said, "What do we think of the trades?" And he's throwing this year. Obviously, he doesn't have any running back production. Your best case scenario here is just, try and get as low of a pick as you, or as high of a pick, as you can in the 2023 draft. Maybe make some moves midseason if you can flip guys. Like I'm not a huge believer in like George Pickens, Christian Watson. I know they're young players, but if they have like really awesome starts to their career, maybe you can get a king's ransom for those guys, collect some more capital in the future draft classes. TJ Hawkinson, also a guy that we've talked about as potentially overvalued in Dynasty, especially in a tight end premium. You might be able to, fetch a pretty penny for him. Maybe you can get like a breakout candidate tight end and a 2023 second on top of him or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe, you can go after if somebody's willing to give you, say they need a tight end and they trying to compete, maybe you can get a 2024 first for it. And if you can get a 2024 first for TJ Hawkinson while still having that tight end core behind to suffice, like, yeah, I'm all for it. But overall, you mentioned, like, what should I be looking to do? Because I'm basically throwing this year. Stick to what you've been doing. All these trades have been good for you. At the end of the day here, you want to erase as much point production as possible off your team because, as Corey mentioned, you want that pick of yours to be as high as possible so you can get in Bijan range. You can get in, you don't really need a quarterback, but if somebody else needs a quarterback and wants to trade up and give you a king's ransom for one of the top or two of the top 5 selected players next year with Stroud and Young, you have a lot more flexibility to make those types of moves. So overall, keep going. You're doing well. Let's move on to the next team. That's going to be from Tyler Browning. And a little insight here. This is actually a, the Ladster League. So basically the Ladster tier over on Patreon. This is my league that we're running it with. 12-team, super flex, full PPR with a best ball scoring format. So, I'm a little biased here because I'm in the league. I'll let Corey take it away with the team and overall direction because I don't want to, sway it a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, so at quarterback, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Davis Mills, not a ton going on there. J.K. Dobbins as his main running back there with Kenneth Walker and some other young guys. Behind him, Devontae Smith, Drake London, a couple guys there at wide receiver. Pat Freiermuth as his main tight end. He has 3 1s in 2023, 6 2s in 2023, 3 1s in 2024, and 2 2s in 2024, and then all of his other picks in the next 2 draft classes. So it looks like he pulled the Danny in Danny's league, and he's trying to tear down production. The one critique I would have if you're doing this type of build would have been probably to focus more on foundational quarterback in this type of build. And also, I probably wouldn't have drafted J.K. Dobbins or Kenneth Walker. I understand that they're young running backs, and theoretically, if you're able to hit on some of your draft picks, you can turn this one around pretty quickly. But as we always talk about, having running backs on your team, it adds a lot of unnecessary risk because running backs are inherently an injury-prone position, and they have a lot of volatility year to year depending on if they stayed healthy or whatever the case is. So if you have opportunities to move off of J.K. Dobbins or Kenneth Walker at any point and increase your draft capital, maybe go after a foundational quarterback, maybe you can package together, Davis Mills and J.K. Dobbins and get like a young quarterback like Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or something after some bad weeks during the season. I'm definitely cool trying to do something like that because typically if I'm building out a productive struggle with all these like draft capital that you've done a good job of accumulating, I don't want to have running backs on my team that can that are high value that can lose value.
Yeah, and again, this is a pretty active league. Obviously, I am in it. So the other thing I would say is, try to leverage those pieces in season, like J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker. You mentioned maybe if you go after a quarterback upgrade, that would be obviously ideal. But I'm pretty sure for the most part in this league, people are very, very stingy in terms of moving quarterback capital. Which I mean, they watch us, they know how we love quarterbacks. But I would say the main thing here is draft picks have been basically flying around in this league. There's a clear kind of a contender basis and a non-contender basis, which I mean, myself and Tyler are more so in the rebuilding phase. So again, if you can transition J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, some of those other guys into draft capital and get that production off your team to ultimately out tank me this year, that would be my best advice. Again, I'm biased, I'm in the league, but I definitely say try to strip down as much production as possible because we are both going for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, and I'm doing in the version of this league that I started where it's a best ball format. I'm also employing the same strategy, but I have like I said, I would have probably tried to build out your team a little bit, may at least get one foundational quarterback, build out that wide receiver core, and then probably not invest really anything in running back talent outside of some guys that you could maybe flip midseason. So guys like Tyler Algier, Naeem Hines, those are fine pieces to invest in this type of format because you can probably flip them for 2s and 3s during the season if need be, but I wouldn't have gone after anybody high value like Kenneth Walker or J.K. Dobbins. I probably would have stuck with, the foundational wide receivers at that position in the draft because you probably spent, 4th, 5th round picks on those guys.
Yep. No, I agree. But overall, I mean, you clearly have a ton of draft capital. This team within 2 years should be in a really good spot. And not to mention, again, if you're able to transition that running back depth into more liquid assets long term to potentially increase your period when you're trying to contend, that would be the move. But ultimately, here, good job. We can, unless you have any other thoughts, move on to the next team.
No, we can go on to Devontae's team here. 12 team, 1 quarterback, full PPR league. Kyler Murray, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields as the main quarterbacks. Antonio Gibson, a few other guys, Michael Carter at running back, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bateman, Deontay, Drake London, etc. at wide receiver, Pat Freiermuth, Mike Gesicki, mainly at tight end. Yeah, it looks like he already spent his rookie picks at 105. He was able to get Drake London in a 1 quarterback format. So that's pretty wild to me that you were able to secure Drake London there. He had the 109 listed, but he spent the 110 on Christian Watson here, and I don't see where he would have spent the 109, but 110 is fine for Christian Watson. I'm not a huge Christian Watson guy, but I think that's appropriate value there. Yeah, and then it looks like he had some other mid-round picks in this year's draft class, and then it looks like he has 2023 3 first. Does that say he has 3? He has 3 ones. It looks like in 2023. Yeah, and then 2023 second doesn't have his third or whatever in 2023, but he has most of his picks in future. So he has a couple trades listed here. Obviously, he says he's pretty thin at running back, but what are our thoughts on the team and how to go about it moving forward? And then we'll go get onto the trades that he made.
The main thing I'll say here, Devontae, if this is the price going great for 2023 first in your league, there's no reason for you to have production on this team. You chip out anybody that can give you relative production this year because apparently if Russell Gage, DJ Chark, and the 202 can get you a 2023 first, I'm seeing what the value is relatively for Carter, Gibson, Christian Watson, anybody realistically, Mike Gesicki, anybody on this team that might be slightly appealing to a contender. I'm seeing if I can go after that draft capital because what that tells me right there is you can turn this thing into flat out monster and give you another 4 or 5 2023 first going into next year's draft, which at the end of the day, if you can monopolize a draft class as hyped up as 2023, you're going to be in a very good spot.
Yeah, and you could also go after 2024 picks too, especially if you could be like, if these guys are thinking totally like tunnel vision, like I'm trying to win this year, you could package, you can just get a straight up 2023 first for Antonio Gibson, grab Michael Carter, Tyler Algier, and Mike Gesicki, package that for a 2024 first. Like you can just really, really load up on draft capital if that's how your league market is behaving, which by the first trade, it looks like that might be the case there. In the second trade here, he sent away the 105 and the 204. And in exchange for that, he got the 102, which maybe that became Drake London. And that's where he got him there. And Justin Fields in the 308. It's a 1 quarterback league. So Justin Fields obviously doesn't have quite as much value, but I think even in a 1 quarterback format, I would rather have Justin Fields in the 204. I don't know where you stand on that.
Yeah, no, Justin Fields in 204. Yeah, I think that's about at least comparable value. But in this draft class specifically, yeah, give me Justin Fields, give me the upside at a potential economical quarterback. So ultimately, here, if the 308's collateral, or actually, you got the 308. So you got the 308 and the 102 to move off the 105. I absolutely love this deal for you.
Yeah, this is a great move. So overall, I think both those trades, you definitely netted positive. You're in a good spot to be able to just kind of tank this one out, move off of production wherever you can. Antonio Gibson, he's a guy that you're going to have to shop at some point. Maybe his value is depressed in the market right now because a lot of people are down on Antonio Gibson. So maybe if he has a couple good weeks during the season, you're able to flip him for like a 2024 first or something like that. That's probably what I would be looking to do. But otherwise, I mean, you built out a strong wide receiver core. You have found a couple, young tight ends that I like with Freiermuth, Gesicki, and Dulcich. You have a foundational quarterback, obviously, with Kyler Murray and some 2 upside plays behind him. So you're pretty much well set up for the future and even in the short term a little bit for quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. You really just have to build out your running back core in the 2023 class, and you might be able to turn this one around pretty quickly.
Exactly. And I think you will be able to turn this around quickly given the fact that you have as much depth and you have difference makers at especially the quarterback and wide receiver spot. And who knows, again, if Pat Frymuth takes that next step, we obviously saw once he got the full-time role, he was going to be an above average type of tight end. Maybe he takes even further of a step in that Steelers offense this upcoming year. Yeah, the only thing that you realistically need long-term would be the running backs, which if you get 3, 4, 5, 2023 first, that's definitely going to help the cause.
Yeah, exactly. I would really try and monopolize the running back classes of the next 2 years. Because if you can add, 3 of those like 5 running backs that we're always talking about, Braylon Allen, Bijan Robinson, Travion Henderson, Jameer Gibbs, Sean Tucker types. If you add 3 of those guys on your team over the next 2 draft classes, then you're really going to have a strong team. Maybe you add a wide receiver or 2 here and there as well to continue to build out your depth. But yeah, we can move on to the next team. It looks like Devontae is in a very good spot. Pope's team here, 12 team, half PPR, no tight end premium. Kyler Murray, Zach Wilson is his main quarterbacks there. Brees Hall, Travis Etienne is his main running backs. Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson, George Pickens mainly at wide receiver. Irv Smith is his main tight end with Albert O there. It looks like he's got like 6 or 7 ones there in 2023. 7 ones in 2023, 2 ones in 2024. I mean, this is like the shell of a future monster. That's the only
Yeah.
because you already have some very, very foundational pieces and you just have so much capital to be able to just hammer this. Like this is the type of team I'm going after Kyle Pitts with. I'm going after Jamar Chase with. I'm going after, whatever foundational pieces that I can get on my team that are going to not, decrease in value anytime soon is who I'm going after.
Yeah, no, this is just an insane team. And you kind of see here when to make moves or picks. Also, if we believe ETN and Kyler are building blocks, Kyler is absolutely a building block. Like Kyler Murray, when he's on the field, you kind of mentioned here, should I move, Kyler in the first a tier up? Absolutely not. Like, especially in a one quarterback league, it's just unnecessary because when Kyler's on the field, he's a 25 plus point per game potential scorer. So you get that. You have, adequate depth behind him. Brees Hall and ETN, very good young running backs to have. And not to mention, the main alert of this team is you have 7 2023 ones with a team that looks like they might not even have their own 2023 one. So the fact that you're able to build up this level of liquidity despite having a team in terms of longevity, in terms of value, the way you've already built it out, like, yeah, Corey said it, but as soon as you either use those picks or leverage them for better packages in the season, good luck to your league mates because this isn't going to be unfair.
Yeah, exactly. So if I were in your position right now, he basically asked, should I move all my firsts or should I keep some of them or should I spend them all? What should I do with 7 ones? Like to be honest, I've never been in a position to have 7 ones, so I couldn't tell you
I
what
have.
I would do in that situation. But what I would probably be looking to do right now is whenever your league mates catch wind that the 2023 class is good, maybe it takes until after the season, maybe they already know, whatever the case is, that they know that those picks are valuable. I would be looking to cash in on Kyle Pitts. Maybe it only takes Irv Smith and 2 ones to get Kyle Pitts. I'm absolutely fine giving that up to secure a guy like him for this roster, knowing what you have position wise. Because if you can give 2 mid to late first projected and Irv Smith to add Kyle Pitts, you add a couple running backs to this team, you add another wide receiver or 2, and suddenly you can turn this thing around in 2023 and have a monster for the next like 4 or 5 years.
You have 9 ones in the next 2 years, and you already have a team that realistically, you're either going to add 9 blue chip players in the next 2 drafts, or quite frankly, you're most likely going to draft 5 players and leverage 4 other picks into either future capital or veteran players that people are trying to sell because they want to get in on the class. Because quite frankly, with 7 ones, you are monopolizing that rookie draft. Whatever market people want to pay or people want these fucking players for, you are setting. So if someone really wants, oh, you know what? Like I really want Kayshon Boutte. He'd fit my team nicely. Your league isn't setting that market. You're setting that market. Keep that frank. Again, obviously, you don't go try to, cut somebody or whatever. Don't try to like absolutely rinse somebody bad. But if somebody's willing to, pay you a pretty penny, pay you, 1.3x what they probably should, you have all the value, you have all the leverage in this spot.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like a lot of longevity, a lot of young guys that you can piece around here. He said, I've thought about trying to give JMO or London and 2 2023 first for Chase. What are your thoughts on that? I would say value wise, like if I wouldn't do London in 2 ones, I would consider doing JMO in 2 ones, but
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot to give up for one player, but having Jefferson and Chase on one team is obviously very, very appealing for you in the short and the long term. So, I mean, you are in a position where you can sacrifice a little bit of value because you've built up so much of it. I would honestly like I would probably wait a little bit because you can probably find stretches that are better suited to go after a guy like Jamar Chase. Your picks aren't going to lose any value. If anything, they're going to gain value. So if we have 4 straight games where Jamar Chase hasn't scored a touchdown in week 9, maybe it shouldn't affect his dynasty value, but it will inherently. The person in their mind is going to be like, oh, Chase isn't playing as well as he did last year. There'll be a little seed of doubt in their mind. You might be able to get him for 80 cents on the dollar. And maybe you can get him for, Jameson Williams and George Pickens in a first instead of, 2 firsts and Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find pockets where you can get absolute steals, then so be it. But yeah, overall, I mean, we can pick and choose. We can be nitty gritty in terms of what exactly we're pointing to. But overall, no matter what you choose here, you're going to be in a good spot because
even if you do nothing, you're adding 7 great players to your team next year and 2 great ones in 2024. And just by, hit rates, if you are decent at hitting on those picks, you're going to have a monster very, very quickly. So we don't need to spend too much more time on this team. Before we get into the next team, as always, got to pay some bills around here. Hear from a word from our sponsors over at Manscaped. What's happening, y'all? Crotch discomfort hurting your game? Fear no more. The kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. They're sleek, they're soft, they're comfortable, and they're flexible. The brand new Boxers 2.0 from Manscaped take your balls to the royal ball throne. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, as you guys should know by now, have the legendary Lawnmower 4.0 for the trimming, so you can wear the Boxers 2.0 for the chillin'. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, which, I mean, you guys probably can imagine what goes in there, so you know it's serious. I think it's time that you invest in your family jewels, so let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using the promo code BUSH at manscaped.com. Let's say you're on a date and your partner catches that Manscaped waistband on your underwear. It's almost a guarantee to raise some eyebrows and get them thinking. Act like a billboard on the highway to Pleasure Town. This is thanks to their Lawnmower 4.0, the best electric trimmer for below-the-waist grooming. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to the advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is also waterproof, so you can groom in the shower, and also has a 4000K LED spotlight if you need a more precise shave. Beyond ball cleaning, Manscaped is focused on ball comforting with the Boxers 2.0. Boost confidence everywhere you are, knowing that you're wearing the absolute best pack for your sack. These boxers are a game changer, and the features include the jewel pouch, a pouch designed to cradle your boys in their own special space, lined with perforated performance fabric to keep them well ventilated. The fabric is soft, the moisture-wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat, the tagless waistband hugs your body without digging in, and it lays flat against your skin to reduce chafing. The front fly opening gives easy access and makes bathroom breaks quick and efficient. Multiple ways for entry and passage for your package. You can even choose from an arrangement of designs and colors ranging from small to triple XL for all my guys out there. From El Jefe, Nighthawk, your boys will be in the right hands. Be sure to be proud of your underwear with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. Use the promo code BUSH for 20% off plus free shipping. That is 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code BUSH. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. And now we're back. All right, big shout out to Manscaped. Again, promo code BUSH, 20% off plus free shipping. DTB Brownie, the next team that we have on the list here. He has a lot of stuff listed. Quarterbacks, Cousins, Tua, Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, running backs, Devontae, Gibson, Breece Hall, etc. Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, George Pickens, Rondell Moore, etc. at wide receiver there. And then at tight end, Pat Freiermuth is his main guy. He has a bunch of trades that he made at the draft, a couple draft capital things listed here. He has 3 1s in 2023. Doesn't have his 2, but he has 3 3s. All of his picks in 2024. And then he also listed who he picked in this year's rookie draft.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at the team here, obviously, the team's looking relatively strong. You can definitely try to compete with this team. I believe he actually said that. We talked about that in Dynasty Decisions episode 39. So a little bit of a time ago, but hey, you're back. You're ready to roll. So looks like you did make some moves from then. You still have 3 2023 firsts, 3 23 thirds, as well as a 2023 fifth rounder. So looking at this team, clearly you had a big haul in the rookie draft. No pun intended, obviously, with that 101 pick. But yeah, I mean, you're adding Hall to this team. You're adding London to this team. You got a good young core. Obviously, I would say your main contention year is probably going to be 2023 because you're going to wait for Calvin Ridley to come back, obviously, from his suspension. But yeah, you're in a good spot for this team to also have 3 2023 first. Clearly good asset management there.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a couple, because that's your winning window. I would say there's a couple guys that I'd be looking to shop. quarterback is a position that is not like the strongest for you. Obviously, you have
Yeah.
guys that are fine, but I do think you could probably get better at that position. So if you wanted to take, Tua and Gibson or Tua and Thielen or somebody like that and go towards more of like a 1 year punt this year and flip this thing into a potential monster going forward, maybe even Mike Evans can get it done because he's got some value this year. I might go after a young quarterback that has a little bit more upside. Maybe Tua and Antonio Gibson's enough for you to get like a Trey Lance or a Dak Prescott type.
Yeah, no, exactly. So he does have listed here a couple trades he made June 27th, 2022. So he gave up Kenneth Walker in exchange for a 2023 first and third. I love this move. I
Yeah.
do. I think Kenneth Walker's a very fine prospect, but being able to parlay that into what should be a much better class next year, shaving points off your team this specific year, again, with Calvin Ridley on the mend, with not knowing what you can expect from Kenny Pickett year one. I like this move that you're able to do.
Yeah, I like that first move. The second move, I don't
I don't
like
think you got
as
enough
much. And
value.
he said he's a Giants fan too. So he said this was hard for him to do. He traded Saquon Barkley away for the 108 and Jacoby Myers. The 108 became Kenny Pickett. I don't have a problem with selling Saquon Barkley. If you don't believe in Saquon Barkley, I think the problem is when you did it, which was June 27th. I think if you're going to sell Saquon Barkley, we're already seeing the effects that it's having. Everybody's realizing that Saquon Barkley, if he stays healthy, is going to be great this year. So if you didn't believe in Saquon Barkley, you don't want him on your team, your time to sell him was probably about 2 weeks from the current time that we're recording this. Is like mid-August preseason type of time if you don't believe in Saquon Barkley. And I would say even more so once we actually see him on the field playing games, getting a lot of snaps, scoring fantasy points would be the best time to sell him. But if you don't want to even take that risk, you should have probably at least waited until preseason training camp right before prime fantasy football redraft season. So I don't have an issue with selling Saquon, but I think you could have gotten a lot more had you waited, 2 or 3 months.
I agree with that assessment. Yeah, I mean, it's if this was like a 2023 first instead of Pickett, that would have been more reasonable in my opinion. It's just again with Pickett, he doesn't really do much for you this year. Like you're banking on him long term, obviously, but he's kind of a B Tech type of prospect. We don't know if he's going to play any games this year. Realistically, I have no clue what the Steelers are planning with him and Mitch Trubisky. So to trade a needle mover, as Bush kind of said, where his Saquon's price being deflated as much as it was when you sold him, it just was the wrong point. It was the wrong time to be able to sell. Again, if you had waited in season or right before training camp, if you didn't want to take any more risk, you probably could have gotten 2023 capital, which would have been more beneficial for you considering that you already have 2023 first. If you added a fourth 2023 first, again, we kind of mentioned it with the last team with Pope, being able to monopolize that draft, having 4 of the 12 selections, you're setting the market at that point. So yeah, again, we're being nitpicky. We don't think you did great on this deal, but I mean, your team is still in a good spot long term.
Yeah, and even more so, I think would have helped your team in the long term would have been if you waited a little bit. Saquon Barkley plus Tua Tagovailoa to go get an elite quarterback would have probably been an even better move that you could have made. Because typically, when somebody trades a quarterback away, if somebody's parting with Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or something, they're not going to like just do it 1-for-1 for Saquon Barkley. Number one, and number two, they usually want a quarterback back in return. So it's easy if you can be like, hey, I'll give you Tua and Saquon. Tua is a young quarterback. There's a lot of upside there and you just give me the sure thing, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, whoever you could end up getting at that point. So that's probably what I would have done if I was looking to sell Saquon Barkley with this team. But like Danny said, you're in a pretty good spot. The only glaring hole that I think on this team is that I think you have the ability to go out and get an elite quarterback using Tua, Gibson, Evans, Thielen, some combination of those players that you might not need this season. I think you could maybe go out and make a move for at least like a Trey Lance, Dak Prescott type.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you can get up that range, I mean, what would be the floor range? You say like Russell Wilson?
I probably wouldn't go after Russ. I would probably want someone with a little bit more youth on their side. So if I could get, Tua Gibson and maybe I have to throw like 2/3 on top of it or something like that to go out and get, Trey Lance, I'd be cool with something like that.
Yeah, I doubt that would get through, but if you could somehow get that through, that'd be
Well,
a
I mean,
great.
Trey Lance is
Yeah.
unproven, right? So like, not everybody's going to be in on Trey Lance. Maybe and Prescott just constantly. This as a Cowboys fan. Some people hate him, some people love him. So maybe he's a guy that you can go after on the cheap as well. But overall, I think you're doing a pretty good job. I would say keep staying the course, spend those picks, and Gibson, Tua, Thielen, and Evans would be the guys that I would consider shopping in season, depending on how well they're doing. Because if Evans is like, top 3 fantasy wide receiver, I would probably sell that production off your team because then that, number one, tanks your own pick. And number two, you could probably get, a couple draft picks or use it in package to get a young quarterback or something.
Yep, I agree. So we can move on to the next team here. That's going to be from Dylan Bruce. 12 team, one quarterback league with 6 points per passing touchdown. It's also a half PPR. You guys can see the team on the screen, headlined by Justin Herbert at quarterback, running backs being Devontae Williams, David Montgomery, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chase Edmonds, wide receivers being Jerry Jeudy, Rashad Bateman, Gabriel Davis, Drake London, etc. And then at tight end, you do have Dawson Knox and Noah Fant, along with 4 2023 firsts, 2 2023 seconds, and an extra 2024 seconds. So overall, when you're looking at this team, what are your main thoughts?
Number one, the tight end core is very on brand for guys that I like. Dawson Knox, Noah Fant, Cole Kmet, and Alberto. Those are just like, that's the exact way that I like to build tight end cores. Just give me a bunch of bullets in the chamber to hit a good tight end. I don't like drafting tight ends early. We know this about me. But anyways, he said this was his first ever dynasty team. So I think you did a pretty good job in the startup. The one thing I will say is that I probably wouldn't have invested in some of these like middling running backs like David Montgomery and CEH. And Chase Edmonds and guys like that. I think after you got Devontae, it probably would have served you to go after, more wide receiver depth or, maybe another, it's a one quarterback league. So you probably didn't need to go after another quarterback, but that's probably what I would change about like what your strategy was. But we can look at some of these trades that he has on the board here. He's got a trade where he received Gabriel Davis in exchange for McCole Hardman. Now, again, Gabriel Davis is so weird because his dynasty value is not on par with his redraft value, even though he's a young receiver. So I love this move. Number one, I don't believe in McCole Hardman at all. At least with Gabriel Davis, there's the chance that he breaks out. I'd be very, very stunned if McCole Hardman did much of anything this year.
I don't understand this at all for the other guy. Like, Gabe Davis is probably the same age or younger. Gabe Davis has already shown more than McCole Hardman has in 3 years, that he has in 2 years. And Gabe Davis, from a redraft standpoint, is going, what, 9 rounds before him on
Yeah,
Underdog? 8 rounds before him on Underdog. So yeah, I don't understand, but hey, you'll take the value when you can get it. This next deal, so you're able to get Mayfield, Gallup, a 2023 first and second for Jalen Hurts and Julio Jones
it's a
in a
one
one
quarter.
quarterback league. Yes, please.
Yeah.
All day. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
especially when you have Herbert already. I mean, like, what do you need Hurts for? You're just holding that risk that that Hurts eventually gets replaced in Philadelphia. And I mean, like Gallup a first and second, like those are pretty like Julio Jones and Mayfield kind of cancel each other out. They're not worth a ton to each other in a one quarterback league, and I'd actually prefer Mayfield. So I think that's a good return for Jalen Hurts there. He's a good quarterback. He's going to help people in a one quarterback league. But yeah, give me the 2 picks and Gallup there. The next trade here, I'm not a huge fan of. You didn't pay a lot for him though, so I don't mind it. CEH in exchange for Robbie Anderson, a 2023 third. I just don't like acquiring CH, period. But the fact that you got him for a third round pick and a middling wide receiver 5 in fantasy, if I'm going to trade for CH, I'm 100% cool giving this up. But I will say, like, if CH proves something at any point during this season, I'm going to try and capitalize on what I bought him low for and try and sell him for a lot more.
yeah. No, I don't mind this from a value standpoint. Obviously, as we kind of said, CH is just not the type of player that we like investing in. But yeah, I mean, for
It's not
this
like you're
price,
giving up
yeah,
like much of anything here. So like most
exactly.
people would probably peg CH's value at like a late first, early second, and you did not give up a late first, early second value to acquire CH here. So it looks like your league mates are quite low on CH as well. So the final trade here, you traded away Christian McCaffrey in exchange for 2 ones and Devontae Williams and Chase Edmonds. Now this is a fucking highway robbery type of trade. I would rather have Devontae Williams straight up than Christian McCaffrey in Dynasty. So the fact that you're able to get 2 firsts and Chase Edmonds on top of Christian McCaffrey, who obviously is going to be great if he's on the field. But you mitigate most of that injury factor with a 22-year-old running back. Yeah, he hasn't done it yet, but I've kind of made my thoughts clear on investing in running backs who haven't done it yet. It's usually a profitable strategy. So I think you did a fucking awesome job with that trade.
Yeah, this trade doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, did you put the first on the wrong side? Like, did McCaffrey side also get a 2022 first, and you got the Williams Edmonds in a 2023 first? Because that would be at least comparable value, something that I could stomach. But 2 ones, like, I would easily take over McCaffrey at this point. As good of a player as he is, he holds way too much volatility. And then you're getting, Javonte and Edmonds on top. So great move. You mentioned this is your first ever dynasty league. Dynasty team, and you had made a couple boneheaded moves in the first 2 years, but once you started watching us, you kind of sharpened up, and some of these moves really prove so.
Yeah, and he has a couple more on the table right now that are pretty easy smashes for me. He has 2 offers on the table for Chase Edmonds. Okay, we're talking Chase Edmonds here. somebody's willing to give him either a 2023 second, which number one, I would take in a heartbeat. But
Yes.
if somebody's going to give you a first of any kind,
Yes. Yes.
2025, give me the 2025 first. I know it's not, you can't use it for 3 years, but I mean, you can sell that pick a year from now for twice what you paid for it, for 3 times what you paid for it in 2024, and then 4 times what you paid for it once the 2025 class comes around. We don't know who that player is going to be. We don't know who the prospects are going to be, but I mean, I think Arch Manning's might be in that class, so maybe that ends up being him. I don't know.
Drew
Um,
Aller.
yeah, he also has an offer for David Montgomery for a 2023 first. Boom, easy, off my
Yeah.
team. That's an easy move to make. I think given the league market that you've kind of outlined with some of these trades, I think the play here is to just completely monopolize that 2023 class. You already have 4 1s in there. You can add another, couple pretty easily with some more moves. I think that's a pretty easy way to monopolize the strategy that you've set out a good strategy. You have a foundational quarterback, 6 point per passing touchdown, one quarterback league. You don't need anybody other than Justin Herbert realistically for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Javontae, foundational running back. He's very, very young still. He's one of the only few running backs I would say that you could still, build a 1 year productive struggle or a 2 year punt out of because he's so young. And then your wide receiver core has got some upside. You're going to be able to add a ton more talent to that team. And one of those tight ends should probably work out for you as well, if not be at least trade chips for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think overall you're in a very good spot. The capital, that team, yeah, just keep plugging away. If you can get a 2023 first for David Montgomery and then a 2025 first for Chase Edmonds, you're just completely adding to that war chest. And ultimately, you're going to have 2023 first with that team already. Like, yeah, first Dynasty team, I wouldn't have thought so considering how well you've done thus far.
Yeah, exactly. So, and this is the advantage you have because I'm assuming most of the guys in your league are also first-time dynasty players. So, listening to us, definitely you got some more experience than the first-time guys that are in your league. So, let's move on to Abyss's team here. One quarterback league with a super flex spot actually. So it is a super flex league, 12 team, half PPR, half point, tight end premium. Just like our thoughts on the team and which direction that we should go with this team. He said it was just drafted, so we can assume that there's no monsters in this league format. He also doesn't know if he should push to win now with his running backs or should he try and trade them for youth. He said managers in this league love the 2023 class, so that's good to know. They also love quarterbacks and they hate older running backs to give you a sense of what the league market is like. So looks like a little bit more of a sharper league market, not a bunch of guys, sending you multiple first for Joe Mixon type of move. If that's your league market, it's definitely going to be tough to trade those guys considering I'm assuming you only drafted them because they fell so far that you felt like you needed to draft them. It's a little tough because if that was the direction you were going in, I probably wouldn't have went with the young wide receivers. I probably would have went more so for win now type of guys. So my inclination is that you're kind of stuck in limbo here. Your quarterback depth is suspect. Obviously you have Lamar and Mills as your main guys. Your running backs are aging. Your wide receivers aren't good enough to compete yet. Obviously Kyle Pitts, nothing's going to change with him. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this team? I think it's in a bit of a rough spot right now.
Yeah, this is a team that doesn't really have a direction. I'm sorry to say that. It's honest. I mean, it just doesn't match in terms of correlation, whether you want that top end elite point potential versus the longevity. Because, I mean, you go out and you have Burks, Wilson, Ridley for a 1 year punt. You have a lot of guys there that, are going to more than likely accumulate in value, especially, Kyle Pitts, Lamar Jackson, et cetera there. But then your running back core kind of just screams, I'm trying to fill my lineup as opposed to I'm trying to win my league. Like Mixon again should be really good this year, but after that, I mean Gibson, Jacobs, Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, you just invested too much into too little of a ceiling, in my opinion. Like a lot of these guys are going to be comparable to a lot of guys that are going to be picked at less of an opportunity cost. So if you wanted to grab, one or two of them in that range, if you already had Mixon, fine. But the fact that you kind of went, 4 deep there, I just think was a little bit more of an overkill than you possibly needed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when in doubt, I would say probably try and reconstruct this thing to better align yourself with a winning window. It's going to be tough. If these guys value the 2023 picks, that means I'm going to 2024. That is what I'm probably going to do. If this was my team in this position, number one, I would probably wait until the season because Mixon, Gibson, Jacobs, all these guys are going to have more value in the season. Go to the contenders, ask what they want for their 2024 first rounders. If you can trade Jacobs straight up for a 2024 first, if you can trade Gibson straight up for a 2024 first, if you can get Mixon a 2024 first plus something probably for Mixon, I'd probably be looking to do something like that. That'll better align your winning window. And I would also probably shop Davis Mills if people are very high on quarterbacks as well. Because he's, a young quarterback. Some people might believe in him, and I personally don't long term. So I would probably try and, hold those wide receivers. Those guys should, hold and accumulate value. Kyle Pitts, obviously going to do the same thing. Pat Freiermuth, maybe a guy that you shop as well because you have Kyle Pitts. And then Lamar Jackson. So your building blocks are the top two wide receivers, Kyle Pitts and Lamar Jackson. Everybody else is probably up for sale. And if everybody knows about the 2023 class, then I would aim for the 2024 picks.
Yep. No, I agree with you there. But overall, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. It's a little bit of a sticky spot, but if you can go after 2024, you should be set. We'll go to the final team of the video, and that's going to be from Brandon Rothstein, a 12-team, one quarterback league with 6-point passing touchdown. He also mentions here that he has some IDP spots, but I mean, we don't really have too much to input there. But in terms of the team, quarterback, Josh Allen, Trey Lance. So you basically got the best quarterback in fantasy. And
that is like the perfect, if I was playing in a one quarterback format, that is exactly the two quarterbacks I would want.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was just about to say you got Josh Allen and mini Josh Allen right behind him. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Williams, Travis Etienne, Alvin
Should we just end the video? This guy's team's unreal.
Wide receivers, Brown, Moore, McLaurin, Elijah Moore, A-Rob. Yeah, you're set there. Tight end, you have TJ Hawkinson, Cole Kmet, along with all of your picks intact next year. So he just basically says, what other moves should I look to make? And if I'm looking to move off of Kamara and or McLaurin, what should I be looking for? He also knows that the rookie draft is in mid-August. So let's look at this trade that he just made. So he was able to send Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow in the 111 in exchange for A.J. Brown, Travis Etienne, and James Robinson. So when I'm looking at this deal, one quarterback league, I'm getting, I would prefer A.J. Brown over Joe Mixon straight up. And then when we're looking at Joe Burrow in the 111 for Etienne and Robinson. And a one quarterback league, I think this is pretty comparable, but I would probably slightly lean with the upside that is Travis Etienne.
Yeah, honest to God, I think AJ Brown's probably worth Mixon and the 111. No cap. I'd probably rather AJ Brown than Mixon and the 111. So ETN over Burrow pretty easily, even in a one quarterback even though Burrow's a young quarterback, it's a one quarterback league. So not a ton of ceiling there. And knowing you have Josh Allen and Trey Lance, like Burrow's never going to see your lineup. So I think you've done a great job of constructing this team.
Yeah.
Your rookie draft, I mean, just swing for the ceiling on the 211, 311, 411, just any kind of ceiling picks that you can go after, go ahead. In terms of like other moves, he says, I'm looking to move Kamara and or McLaurin. If you want to move those guys, I would say probably go after a stud if you can. Like if you can package both of those players together and go after, a superstar wide receiver, or like, something like that. Like, cause you're probably not gonna be able to get Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson with Alvin Kamara plus Terry McLaurin, but maybe you can get like CeeDee Lamb in a third or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. No. Yeah. If you can go after that type of move, you've already accumulated so much value with this team in terms of being able to try to win. Yeah. I don't mind that. But as you kind of mentioned, it all depends on timing, especially you don't want to sell a guy like Kamara right now because people have already caught on to the fact that this guy's probably going to get suspended. So I would say honestly, his value is going to go up once the suspension is just announced. Because people might be scared.
Yeah, probably. People just are so scared of when the uncertainty is happening. And I've heard everything from like his court date is August 1st. So we're going to know, and it's been postponed twice. So it's possible it gets postponed again, but we're going to know whether or not he's getting suspended probably in early August. And if he gets suspended 3 games or something, then he's probably going to go up way more in dynasty value. Even if he gets suspended 10 games, at least people know how many games he's going to get suspended for.
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, with a guy like Terry McLaurin, it all depends on relative value. There's not really a time frame for him. It's just, yeah. Like, what would you say about McLaurin in terms of when to move him?
Honestly, I'm cool just moving him whenever. I think most people kind of
that's where I'm
understand
at.
Value is. He's a good receiver, he has bad quarterback play. There's not much else I could say about Terry McLaurin. The one thing I will say with a team like this is that I'm looking to get another superstar wide receiver because when I just look at what the starting lineup will be, given the format that you list here, you're gonna have Josh Allen as your main quarterback. You're gonna have Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Williams as your top 2 running backs. You're gonna have AJ Brown, hopefully another elite wide receiver as your next highest wide receiver. And your flexes are a mix of like DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Elijah Moore, Allen Robinson, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara. Like you have so much depth on this team that it benefits you to try and go and get another superstar if you can.
Yep. No, I agree. But either way, you mentioned rookie draft in mid-August. We'll just throw a couple targets there, 211, 311, 411. Obviously, at the 211 spot, maybe
I'm looking for an ambiguous backfield with the 211. So Algier, Damian Pierce, Rashad White, Isaiah Spiller, somebody like that would probably be my target, especially given if you move Kamara, then your running back depth might be a little suspect too. So I'm cool with something like that. Honestly, with those picks, I'm probably looking straight running backs with all of them because ambiguous backfields in like the 3rd, 4th round is usually where I'm aiming for the most part anyway. Because like the wide receiver prospects that you get in that area of the draft are usually not great.
The only ones I'd say, like maybe a Wandale or a Tolbert fall,
You
which
could roll
I
after like
consider
a
that,
Greg
but
Dulcich too with the 311 potentially. Throw
that's not
a
bad
pick at a
either.
tight end.
That's not bad either. But overall, good spot. Still have the picks next year, which obviously, if you realize, hey, I'm 5-1, I'm 5-2, and I want to,
Go
make a
get
splash.
Jakes, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, somebody
Yeah.
like that would probably make a difference for this team as well.
No, exactly. But either way, appreciate you guys for making it this far in the video, about 42 minutes in. If you've made it to this point, I've watched the whole Dynasty Decisions video, comment down below. I'm here and I'm ready to roll because we're ready to roll into the redraft season. We're ready to roll into the NFL season. September 11th, my beloved Dallas Cowboys, Corey's beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That game can't come soon enough.
Yeah, is it the 11th or is it the 12th?
11th.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty sick game. We are very, very excited for that. We'll definitely have some bets and stuff going on, so make sure you guys stay tuned for all that. As always, if you want to be on future episodes of Dynasty Decisions, you want to skip the line, get your team evaluated before the season. Patreon.com/Fantasy Stock Exchange. Tons of other features going on over there. If you want access to our Dynasty rankings, our redraft rankings, you can get access to them by depositing on Underdog Fantasy using the promo code FSE, or like I said, you can become a patron as well. So with that being said, peace out. Talk to you soon.